Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I don't talk like the birds. They're doing something crazy. If you're new here, my name is Sophia Chanchuli. I have a podcast called the Sophiology Podcast, and this is my YouTube channel where I just post what I feel like talking about. So y'all, I have a really big freaking announcement that I just want to share to my 22 subscribers. It's crooked still. You see that? I'm married. I'm getting married. I'm engaged. To myself, ho. To me. I bought it for myself. I bought myself a ring for the new year because my word of the year is dedication, and I'm dedicated to me and my goals and to the vision and to showing up this year no matter what. So I thought that would be funny. Like, I thought about saying that. Now that I've said it, it's not that funny, but whatever, I don't care. So anyway, happy new year, guys. I made a video and then I deleted it because I was not ready to post. I really didn't want to post. I've been putting off just like being in the world for a while because I started off this New Year's by myself. I didn't spend New Year's with anybody. I had a month of just rest. I had vacation most of January I was on vacation. So I was on vacation. I literally didn't hang out with anybody except for like one person once, and I saw my family a couple times. But I was like fully in just like focus mode, still off social media. I don't really want to use social media at all this year, honestly. I just was like, it was me time, me and God time. There was a lot of crying. There was a lot of like reconnecting and purging and old feelings and all this stuff, and I just needed rest. Honestly, all I did was like, I went to the gym, I ate food, I worked sometimes, and spent time with myself, cried, journaled. Like, that was really it. I didn't create nothing. Like, I was like, I just want to get really, really clear, really, really quiet, and really, really focused on what I want my goals to be, on what it is that I'm asking for myself. I want to just focus on cutting out the stuff that needs to be cut out. Like, I just needed focus. And I needed like a firm foundation for the new year where it wasn't like clouded with all this BS. And now I'm like starting off on like this weird track, or I'm doing things and I feel like I can't follow up with them, or I feel like I started my year and made decisions and now that's like I'm bound to those decisions that I made. It was like I just wanted to start really clear, really clean. And I'm glad I did it. And another thing, which is gonna have to do with the topic that I'm talking about today, which is such a good one, is I really didn't want to hear anybody's freaking voices. I did not want to hear not one person's voice. Not even God's at moments. At moments I was like, I don't even want to hear from you. I want to be connected to me. I just want to listen to my inner voice. I just want to spend time with myself. I just want to focus. Like, I don't care about any of this other stuff, any other voices. I don't want to hear anybody on YouTube. I don't want to hear anybody on social media. I don't want to talk to my friends. I don't want to talk to nobody. Like, I literally only wanted to be with me. So I'm really glad I did that. I still kind of feel that way where I'm like, I really don't want to talk to anybody because I just don't. There's few people I want to talk to, but I felt really like I just want to focus. And I still feel like that. And I feel like that's the theme of the year, back to the word dedication. And this video is going to be about dedication's sister word, or maybe brother. I feel like dedication is like the female version of this word, discipline. Because this is kind of a more masculine energy video. I kind of came into the year very rested, very chill, very like feminine. You know, we were just going inwards, we were scripting, we were journaling, we were praying. It was very feminine. I was really taking care of myself. And now I'm kind of in that masculine energy where I'm like, it's time to show up, it's time to be disciplined. So today I want to make a video. I've kind of already made a video on it before. Also, sorry, I'm gonna be coughing. My voice is, I'll tell you what happened. But I think I already made a video about this. I think I already made a podcast about this, but probably like years ago. So anyway, my title today, if you've already seen it, which I'm sure you have if you clicked on this video, is discipline is the highest form of self-love. And this is a concept I always talk about, and I think I kind of lost it a little bit. I think I felt really burnt out by the end of last year, because by the end of 2024, because everything changed in my life. Everything changed. And I think I was my work phone. I was like emotionally drained from how much I had experienced. I was emotionally drained from how many decisions I made. I was emotionally drained from the ups and the downs. It was so freaking much. And I feel like I really needed rest. And I think God really granted me that, because I had a lot of free time with work. I had a lot of grace in my transition period, but I think I was putting pressure on myself to like create and do more and do more. And I really was burnt out by the end of the year, and I felt really like confused, like what should I be doing? And so I needed a month to just like reel it in, get really focus my energy, take care of myself, like calm my nervous system. And I can honestly say I kind of feel that fire again. And part of that fire is coming from the fact that I have been kind of mentally going through it. There's been a few things that have happened where I'm kind of like, what is going on? What is going on? Is God punishing me? Is God punishing me? And then I feel like I've kind of been working through some emotions that I think I was previously stuffing down, because I already told y'all in 2024, I did drink a couple times. I did do a couple other things that nothing crazy, but you know, I was kind of resorting to other things, even though I overcame, and I had 9 months total like completely sober with no like drinking days at all. It was still like one of those things that kind of threw me off track. And I realized, okay, yeah, you think you're drinking to have fun, but you're kind of escaping your feelings. I needed to come into this like year fully fresh, fully done, fully like finished with that, and fully like focused and not running from anything. The only options there are to run from things are going to the gym, going to work, praying to God, crying, going into nature, journaling. Like that's it. There's nothing else. There's nowhere to go. So in doing that, I got really focused on the fact that every decision I make is essential to what the outcome is that I want to have. And I realized like I really need to hit some different goals in my life, in terms of my fitness, in terms of like creating, in terms of making my music, in terms of work, in terms of the money that I want to make. Because you might have a great job now and be making great money and it's amazing, but I want to level up, and not just for like, not because I want more things. I'm very content with what I have. I'm very content. I don't need a lot. I've never been somebody that needs a lot, but like I'm content, you know. But in terms of just me and leveling up internally and reaching different internal goals and feeling good about myself, truly good. I think I went through this period where I didn't feel good about myself. And honestly, I'm still kind of coming out of it, where I felt like kind of disappointed in choices I had made, kind of reeling from like, you know, the layers of guilt and shame and all those things that kind of make you feel like you failed, when really failure is like the best leap pad ever. I have a number of stories about it, but which I'll share. And sorry, I'm like taking a deep breath because my lungs are effed up. But yeah, so I really wanted to come into this year just like fully focused. And I just want to talk to y'all a little bit about how discipline is the highest form of self-love, and just the pattern that has shown in my life, and how I'm really going to like this year just like focused. Okay, I gotta show up even when it's hard. I gotta show up. I gotta stop putting off doing what it is that I should be doing, because listen, we all got two hands. Well, well, not everybody has 2 hands and 2 feet, but that's another thing, right? Because even the people who are born with what we perceive as disabilities, whether it's mental, physical, whatever, we all have ailments. Everybody has some kind of advantage and disadvantage. However, if you look at the world, you see the people who suffer the most. There's kids with, I remember seeing a video, particularly this little boy with cancer, and like him just saying that his dad was crying, and he was like, I'm sure y'all have seen it, but his dad was crying, and then he's saying like he's glad that he got it instead of his brother because he was strong enough. Like this little boy. And it makes you realize like we're not given anything that we can't handle in this life. And sometimes it's easy to become a victim. And I struggle with it sometimes. And it's funny because I try to always take accountability, but it's easy when things are not going your way, or when you go through something hard or you lose something, you know, it's easy to feel like a victim. And sometimes it is. Like sometimes life is like BS. You're like, what is this for? But you have to remember that like you are forged in the fire. Like everything that happens to you, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And so I've been in this weird period where I'm like, things are good, but I feel weird, and I feel like something internal's happening and I can't figure out what it is. And I kind of realize I'm being forged a little bit. And in the last couple of years, since like college, but my whole life, I've always dealt with these kind of like unfair circumstances. Like things would happen and I'd be like, this is not fair. Like, why do I deserve this? Like, I'm like, I show up, I'm kind to people, I'm a good person, like whatever, my version of a good person, because God says none of us are good people. But, you know, you show up and you think that you are deserving of the world. And that's also like sometimes something I struggle with, because sometimes I'm like, well, there's all these voices, and sometimes people tell us that we deserve everything, and some people are saying we don't deserve everything. Like, it's very confusing. And there's an ebb and a flow in life. Like, you have moments where stuff is great and good and you're happy, but there's always going to be like this motor in us, like there's more. And so when you kind of reach this plateau or like the stagnancy, I feel like it's because you're not fully tapping into the potential that you have. You're not fully like facing what it is to be faced. And discipline is that act. I should probably pull up the real definition or something, but like we all know what discipline is. Like the act of fully showing up whether you feel like it or not, and doing what you should be doing to accomplish a goal. And like I have all these ridiculous goals, and some not ridiculous, but sometimes I'm like, I don't even need to be doing this. Like, why am I doing this? I'm learning 3 languages. I'm like reading 4 books at one time. I'm on a Bible reading program. I can't put heat in my hair. Okay, that's a really hard one. I can't put heat in my hair. I can't eat certain foods. I'm working out harder than I worked out. I can't talk to certain people. I have 2 friends. Like, there's all this stuff I have to, like, there's so many different, I have a full-time job, and I have a home, and I have bills that I pay for by myself, and I'm doing everything by myself. It's like goal after goal, goal after goal. And sometimes you ask yourself, you're like, what is this for? You're like, what is this for? But we have a responsibility to show up for ourselves. And if God puts something on your heart to do it and to complete it, sometimes it's not just for you. It's not just for you to get something out of it. It's like, let's be really real, okay? I was just thinking about this. The world is a better place when we're taking care of ourselves, when we're showing up, when we're doing the hard things. Because you know who's pleasant to be around? People who get stuff done. People who don't complain about having to do things, people who are not victims, people who just pull themselves up by their bootstraps and get it done, people who smile and work and run through the pain. Those are the people who are good to be around. Those are the people who are like the top 5%. I want to say 1%, but I think there's more than that. But those are like the small percentage of people who are out there motivating the rest of the world because they're doing the hard things that other people can't do. So it's funny. So I was thinking about it, right? Because I've dropped a lot of things, and I'm reading a book called, and this is not even the motivation of it. There's a lot of things, but I just kind of felt like really called to this year, like showing up and doing the things, whether they're hard or not. Like, you are going to be a person that shows up whether you want to or not. Because in the past, I've sabotaged things because I didn't want to show up. I didn't feel like it. I was lazy. I was tired. I was going back on my word. this was the year where I was like, I set in stone what I want to do, and whether I feel like it in that moment or not, whether my not my values, but whether my emotions or like my feelings align with it in that moment, doesn't really matter, because I said I was going to do the thing. I have to do it. And you're going to take a deep breath, and you're going to show up, and you're going to smile through it, and you're not going to complain. And I just want to be somebody who's strong and who's not weak and who is not like dilly-dallying and lackadaisy, because that's how you lose yourself. And so the reason that I think discipline is the highest form of self-love, I've said this forever. I said this, okay, so y'all, if you know, I say this all the time. I went to rehab twice. The first time I was 21, I think. It was 21. Second time was last year, a year ago in January. So I was, I think, 25. And so I went to rehab twice. And I became president of rehab. Let me tell you all that. That's one of my favorite accomplishments. But I remember sharing this in one of my groups, and people were like, wow. I said this. I said, being disciplined is the highest form of self-love, because you take accountability for your actions. You're the one that says, you're not out here pointing fingers and blaming people. This person did this to me. This person cheated on me. This person broke my heart. My parents didn't treat me right or raise me right. Work is hard and early and it's cold and I don't want to do it. Or going to the gym is hard. Or I just want to eat this food. Or I need to drink. I need to smoke. If I don't do it, how am I going to do it? Oh, I'm so weak. My whole life is falling apart. My kids hate me and I'm getting a divorce. Like, that's all it was. And it was like everybody's blaming everything outside of them. And we're all humans. Like, sometimes life is hard and it does not feel fair. But I remember saying to these people, I'm like, y'all are not taking any accountability for your actions. And the reason why everybody always said to me in these environments, they're like, you're like a breath of fresh air. Like, you're so wise. Because I just genuinely was able to go in and be like, okay, yes, I did this. I take accountability for this. This is my shortcoming. This is my flaw. And I just said, I'm done. I stopped. I literally stopped. I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I don't need all this extra like zhuzh. I don't need like these groups. I don't need like all this stuff. I'm just going to show up and do the things that I need to do. Like, that's it. Like, I'm just going to do it and I'm just going to stop. And in the book that I'm reading, Discipline is Destiny, it talks about how like Eisenhower, he smoked for like 34 years, something like that. And then one day he just stopped. And he said, the only way to stop is to just stop. You think, and it's the same thing with like AA and like, you know, when it comes to addictions, listen, I've knock on freaking wood, okay? I've never been on like really hard drugs, addicted to really hard things, or, you know, I know addiction is hard. It is a chemical imbalance in your mind. And ultimately you're like, I think your spirit can be broken a lot of times. I know that pain. Like, I've been through that pain. It's freaking hard. But the only way through these things is making choices and making decisions and being disciplined in how you show up and how you think and how you act. And so there's a few different pillars to it, because if you're showing up for yourself, if I'm choosing, right? So there's a lot of imbalance in this world, because there's a lot of people telling you one thing and is that a feather? Oh, I thought that was a feather. I was like, how majestic. But there's a lot of people telling you don't need to do anything and all you got to do is use your mind. And listen, I'm a firm believer in the mind power, okay? Your mind can do amazing things. Your thoughts are what really does create and project into your reality. But it's not about sitting and doing nothing. It's about, okay, I thought the thoughts, I prayed the prayer, but now I'm going to go out and work with my two hands. Oh, that's what I was saying before, with my two hands and my 2 feet. That's what I was saying before about how there's a lot of people who we think are like not able-bodied, but they're still showing up and doing the things. That's what I was saying before. They're still showing up and doing the things. They still have a positive perspective. They still see the bright side. They still know that they were given this thing because they can handle it. And then here we are, able-bodied, 2 hands, 2 feet. We got food in the fridge. We have a bed to sleep in. We have a roof over our head. We have people that love us, and we're here miserable. And it's because life is so freaking easy. We have nothing to work for. We have nothing motivating us. We have nothing intrinsically hard to push us out of our comfort zone. We have nothing that's giving us purpose. We have nothing that's expressing everything that's in us. So we become unhappy and miserable instead of saying, I don't like this. Maybe I have to suffer in the meantime, but I'm gonna do something different about it. And so we become so complacent, and to be complacent in your own misery is like, it reminds me of the quote, like, we're all caged. Wait, what's the quote? It's like, we're all like caged birds with the doors wide open or something. Like, we think we're caged. We think we're stuck. We think that there's like this, all these things around us, these like perceived barriers, when really the barrier is ourself. The barrier is our own thoughts. The barrier is our own belief systems. The barrier is our own excuses. It's, this happened to me, so of course I'm going to be like this. It's the old stories that we tell ourselves. It's the BS. It's the lies. It's all of it. We have an excuse for everything. Instead of saying, you know what? I have a responsibility to show up for myself. I have a life worth living. As far as I know, this is my only life. I don't know. I don't know about nothing else. I don't know about nothing else. None of us know. That's the beauty of life, right? That's like, I was thinking about how crazy it is the other day, how none of us know. Like, I was like, are any of us even thinking about how crazy it is that none of us know what's going to happen when we die? Like, nobody knows. What an incredible mystery and journey. And here we are, like, just so complacent and conformed, and like, we're like, this is too hard, I can't do this. It's like, you have one life. Do you not want to see what you're capable of doing? And again, this is not just me like yapping at y'all, this is me yapping at me as well, because it's a wonderful thing to be reminded of your power, and your power to decide and to create and to choose. Like, you choose what you eat, you choose what you think. And I want to get into discipline in your thoughts for a little bit, because there's so many times victim mindset is like a real freaking killer. It's a real killer. And it's like so self-abusive, because something happened in your past and it conditioned you to now think in like a loop about that. And I catch myself all the time. There's certain things that I went through that like really affected me, and I struggle. I fall asleep or I wake up and it's in my mind, it's looping, and I'm like, man, like, you know, this is a really hard thing, because it impacts me. I'm like, why am I thinking about this? It's over. Like, you know, like this bad moment or this thing that happened, it's like I'm holding on to it, but it's a new day. Like, it's a new day. Go create something different for yourself. But then we end up conditioned by these thoughts and these stories that we previously went through, and we think that we have free will, when really we're being ran by the things that happened the day before, instead of like creating something new. So the power of your mind and the discipline of your thoughts, like Neville Goddard talks about it all the time, like having discipline. God talks about it, the Bible talks about it. He says, think good thoughts that produce fruitful, I forget the exact scripture, but he tells us to think good thoughts in the Bible. And it is your responsibility as a human being to take your thoughts captive and to say, I'm not thinking this. I'm not in agreement with this. I'm not speaking this over myself. I'm going to be disciplined in how I speak. I'm going to be disciplined in what I think, because what I think and what I speak is what's going to create what's around me. I am not a victim to my past. Things happened. It hurts. If I got to go and get a therapist and talk about it, I will do that. If I got to talk to a friend about it, I will do that. If I got to talk to God about it, I will do that. If I got to cry about it, I will do that. But what I'm not going to do is let this one experience, or, you know, whatever, this compounded experience that happened however long ago, whether it was yesterday or a year ago, I'm not going to let it affect me. And instead, I'm going to say, I'm choosing something different. I'm choosing something different. I'm choosing a different outcome. I'm choosing a different story. If there's something that happened that I don't like, I can fix it. If there's a conversation that needs to be had, I can have that conversation. If the conversation doesn't want to be had, it doesn't have to be had, and you move on and you move forward. Like, there's so many different things that we can do, but instead we stay trapped by our traumas and our pain. And that's what makes us different than any other animals, because most animals, they forget. Like, something happens and they forget, you know, they almost get killed, they forget, and then live their life like normal. They're still eating 2 minutes later. So for us, we're carrying around a lot of unnecessary weight and baggage and thoughts and thought patterns. And it's our responsibility to say, I have a level of autonomy and authority as a human being, and as a daughter of the Most High, or son, I have a level of authority to say, I'm not thinking that, and I don't choose that, and I don't really want that outcome, so I'm going to choose a different outcome, and I'm going to show up and put in the work and the effort, whether it's changing my thoughts, doing the self-work, doing the self-inventory, asking the questions, getting the help. If you have an addiction, going to rehab, getting the help. Stop saying, but I have work. Take care of yourself. You are the best thing that you have. You have to take care of yourself from the floor up. It's not about just showing up for the outside world. That's not what discipline is. It's not about like just showing up at work every day and living this like monotonous life. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's being disciplined in the fact that you have a vision and you have a goal for yourself and you have things that you want to achieve and accomplish, but you have an excuse, and you need to be disciplined because you love yourself, because you want to see yourself succeed and thrive and reach your goals. It's not about showing up for the world. It's not about like, the things that you do for you are going to ripple into the world, because that's what I said before about like, would you rather be around somebody who's always a victim, or would you rather be around somebody who like gets stuff done and is just like does it? Like, I don't want to be around somebody who is like, woe is me, this is happening to me, and life is hard, and can't make decisions, and needs other people's opinions to make a decision, and needs people's validation on social media, and has an excuse for everything. And let me tell you something, I went through this little thing, I think I mentioned it in the beginning, but I re-recorded this, so I don't know, called the Big Purge. Everybody left my freaking life. Everybody left my life. I lost everyone. And it was like building this new life from scratch. I moved to a new place with nobody. I knew nobody. I had no friends, no relationships, no family, no parents, no support, nothing. It's me. It's me on my back and God. That's it. So that was like a scary thing. And there was nothing for me to do other than just sit with it. But I had to be really real and say, okay, I can sit here and cry and feel like a victim. And I did. I mourned the loss of people and situations. And sometimes it's hard and you get homesick and you miss the comfort of certain things. But you realize I am in this new position, or I am working for this new thing, or I'm letting go of these situations. I want to call in better people because I deserve better. I deserve better. So it might be kind of hard in the in-between. You might not know what's going on in the in-between, but that's your chance to build yourself. That's your chance to prepare in silence, which is why like I don't like being on social media right now. And people always think there's something wrong with me. They're like, it's good to take mental health breaks. I'm like, bruh, I just don't like it. I don't need other people's opinions. I don't need their validation. I don't need to share what I'm doing, what I'm up to, where I'm going. I live a great life. Sometimes it's hard, but I live a good life, but I don't need to share it because I don't need all these freaking people knowing what's going on in my life. I just don't care. And you know, people are nosy and they want to know what you're up to and they want to know what you're doing, but it's no one's business. And then when you're ready, then you go and you pop out. But we have these kind of like misconstrued, like everybody, listen, my whole life, I always say it, I'm like, I'm a star, and I am, but like, to me, you know, it's being a star is like, I'm confident, I love myself, I don't need nobody to sit here and tell me like, that girl, she's the one. I don't need it, because I give it to myself, and it's a good thing to be that way, because to need other people's validation, to be desperate for it, is such a lonely, like grimy place to be. It sucks because you never feel genuinely good inside, and that feeling is not fun, and it takes work. And I still work on myself every single day. I need so much work. Like, I'm a human, I'm 26 years old. Like, I've been through a lot of stuff in my life. Like, it's gonna take me time. You know, I've been through addiction. I've been through being broke as a joke. I've been through not having a car, not having a house, sleeping on the couch for a year, living in very bad environments. I didn't have like parents growing up that were putting me through the best situations. I went through a lot in my life and the odds were against me. And let me tell you something, homegirl comes out on top every single time because I'm disciplined and I take accountability every single time. So I was going to say something else, and I really wonder what it was because it was good. It was really good. It was really, really good. But this might be all you need to hear. Honestly, like, you got to show up for yourself. You need to have a plan. You need to simply do the things that sometimes you don't want to do, because a lot of times we're told to lead with our feelings and lead with our hearts. But like the Bible says, like, your heart is deceitful. And sometimes I'm like, I should follow my heart because every time I was wild, everything worked out. And, you know, it's true. Like, all good things really are wild and free. But you have to know what you're working towards. I know what I was going to say, but you have to know what you're working towards. And this is what I was going to say, compounded efforts. So sometimes you're in these seasons where you feel like you're making the efforts. You feel like you're showing up. I'm going to the gym every day. I'm working out harder than I did before. I'm eating well. This is literally how I feel. Let me tell you. I'm eating really good. I'm getting my sleep. I'm journaling. I'm praying. I'm in my word every day. I'm listening to good people and good role models, okay? I'm like cutting out the BS. I'm sober. I'm not smoking. I'm not drinking. None of that. I don't have any bad influences around me. The only influence is me and God. That's it. I'm reading my books. Like, I'm doing everything right. But then it feels like, but there's nothing. Like, I don't feel like I've got, like, where's the reward? Like, where's the reward? And like Pavlov's dog, I'm like, okay, I did it. Where's the reward? It's a compound effort, okay? Like, I feel like I've been working out and eating well for months, and I'm like, I still don't really see results. Like, what's going on? Like, I've been praying on this one thing, and I'm still not seeing anything. What's going on? You know, there's a lot of things where you're like, what is this? Compounded efforts. This is a spiritual fortification. Every single time in my life that I've went through something and it felt like this long dragged out period of like, what the heck is going on? Like, I'm doing what I should be doing, or maybe I wasn't doing what I should be doing. And I felt like I was going through this long period of suffering and I just needed something to save me. Or I went through periods of time where I was like, I'm showing up every day. I'm doing what I should be doing. This happened so many times. And I was like, nothing. Suddenly you hit windfall. Suddenly you hit gold. Suddenly one day you have the body that you wanted. Suddenly one day you feel really good and strong. Suddenly one day the person shows up. Suddenly one day all the things that were like wrong or bothering you, they reach a conclusion. They reach a level of, what's the word? Like resolution. You reach a resolution. Suddenly it's like, okay, I feel good. I have my energy. Suddenly it's like, oh, okay, like this wonderful thing happened, or I get the recognition, like whatever it is that you're seeking. Suddenly one day your prayers are answered. One day you feel like that mighty presence of God and you're like, oh, okay, that's what this is for. Like it genuinely takes time. Or like, for me, like I was doing Duolingo and I was learning French for like 12, 13 years. I'm still not that good at French at all. But like, then I was like, oh my God, I went to France like now 8 times in 2 years. And every time I go to France and I talk to French people, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can actually speak a little bit. I could go to a boulangerie and order du croissant et une baguette simplement, s'il vous plaît. I could do that. So it's like those little things, those little actions and efforts, and those day in and day out little things, those getting clear on your visions, working on your thoughts, like thinking when a thought comes up and you're like, I don't like this, thinking something different, doing something different, moving your body, like investing your money. That's another thing. That's a compounded thing where you're like, I'm investing my money. Am I going to see a return on this? I'm doing this. Sometimes it feels like you're doing all these things and you don't get what it's for, but it compounds. And then there's a day and it all kind of like the seal breaks loose and you're like, okay, that's what this is for. But sometimes it's monotonous and it's not fun. And that's like kind of how I felt for a while. I was like, this feels monotonous. It feels monotonous. It feels monotonous and it feels lonely. And I don't get it. But I know that I am building my character as a person, as a human being, as a woman. I'm building my strength. Okay. Like there's so many things in my life that's requiring discipline. Celibacy. I've been celibate for almost 2 years. Drinking, smoking, what I eat, going to the gym, the thoughts I think, the things I say, the life I speak over myself. And I'm not perfect. I fumbled. I will maybe probably fumbling. I don't want to speak that, but I probably will in the future. We're human beings. But how many times you fall, you get back up, you keep going. That's discipline. Like that's the beauty of this life. You keep showing up no matter what. And one day you will reap the reward. And there was something else that I wanted to say, just to close us out. What is it? Dang it. I don't know. But I hope that this was helpful, because I think there's so many voices in this world, and sometimes you just need to tune it out and get really clear with you. You do need it. It's not sometimes, you do need it. You need to tune out the world once in a while, spend time, give yourself a little vacation, a little rest, whether, I don't know what you need, but give yourself those times to just get really clear the muck, do some deep breathing, do some journaling, do some running, go to the gym, like just do the thing that you said you were going to do. Put down the thing that you said you were going to put down. Just do it. And then suddenly things will be unveiled to you bit by bit. Okay, go here, do this, do this. That's what I was going to say. Correction. I remember. So another thing I noticed about when I'm really disciplined and I know I'm on the right path is that when I mess up, I get corrected really fast. So I want to tell y'all, so I quit vaping like a year ago. And I told you guys, like, I wasn't drinking, like, went into this new year, I was like, there's nothing, like, we are not messing around. Okay, we're not messing around. So the very end of January, I had spent so much alone time. I had sat with my feelings so much. I felt like stuff was kind of hard. I felt like work was kind of hard. Like, I wasn't getting good trips. I was feeling really lonely. Like, just all this stuff was coming up. I was like, I just want a freaking cigarette. And I knew I shouldn't get one. Like, I was like, I know I should not buy these. I wanted Capri's. Like, because I was not going to buy a vape, but I was like, I just want like one. And I was like, I knew it was a waste to buy a whole pack and then throw it away. But I was like, that's what I need, just one. I go, and somehow this man gave me one, so it was fine. But then the next day I wanted another one. So I went and I bought a pack, and I was so disappointed in myself, and I felt so gross and so dirty, and I smoked like 2 of them. I brought them home, and I was like, this will be my emergency pack. I went home and for my trip, and I think I smoked like 2 or 3 of them. Like, that was it. Like, I didn't smoke more than like 5 out of the pack. And I was just feeling gross, and they tasted icky. And then I broke them all up and I threw them in the garbage on garbage day. And I was like, I'm not doing this. Bruh, when I tell you, the next day, I was so sick, and I'm still sick. This was like a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago. I think this was almost 2 weeks ago. This was a long time. My throat, and I'm not sick. Like, I don't think I am. I don't get sick. I take very good care of myself, but I was like, my throat was tore up from the floor up, and it's still like that. Like, it's still raspy. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, this is a joke. But I was thanking God, because I was like, God, you corrected me so fast. And like, it was the same thing. Like, I think it was in December or November, I reached out to somebody. Something had happened, and I reached out to somebody, and I kind of felt like iffy about doing it, but I was like, I feel, let me do it. They didn't respond. And I was like, thank you, God. Like, that's such good protection. So also, when you are being disciplined and showing up for yourself, it's a lot easier to see when you're off path, because I think you get the repercussions and the corrections a lot faster, and God will kind of like rebuke you more quickly. And that's a beautiful sign that you are on the right path, because you feel it, like you get that conviction, and you know in your spirit, like, I shouldn't be doing this. And if I don't listen to myself when my body is like, you should do this, or when it's like, you shouldn't do this, I see, okay, I should have did differently. And God has grace and mercy on us. And, you know, you got to pray for God for the grace and mercy, and you got to believe for beautiful outcomes. But, and you got to forgive yourself as well if you make a mistake, and not shame yourself, because we're all humans, and it's part of the learning experience. And it's honestly a great thing to make mistakes and to fail, because you learn from them. It's the best teachers if you actually learn from them. But yeah, that's what I remembered I wanted to say was it, course correction. But yeah, that's really all I got for y'all today. I hit all the marks. I wasn't sure if I would or not, but I did. But I feel like this is really important, because discipline is such a wonderful virtue. Showing up on a daily basis is a wonderful virtue. Being someone that's reliable, someone that you can show up, like, it's great for other people. People will love you and trust you more because they can rely on you. But also, as somebody who struggled with mental health and with all the things in this life that I've struggled with, I am the happiest when I can trust myself. You know when I can trust myself? When I'm sober, when I'm not making destructive decisions, when I'm not being impulsive, when I'm not being compulsive, when I'm not abusing my body, when I'm not running and listening to my flesh. Okay, that's why fasting is so powerful as well, because when you fast, it is, whether you fast just for like physical reasons, but fasting is very spiritual. So don't smoke cigarettes. Seriously, it's really crazy. Like, it's really crazy. It's really, really wild. But anyway, like, I learned my lesson. Fasting. Literally, when you fast, it's such an interesting thing, because your spirit becomes stronger than your flesh. You are literally dying to your flesh. You are literally like saying, okay, God, like, I trust you. I'm giving this to you. You are amplifying your prayers. You are amplifying your belief and your faith. And you're also just like gaining strength over your body and over your hunger and over your emotions, and becoming disciplined over those things and saying, no, I'm holding to my word. I'm holding to my covenant that I made. And it's a really beautiful thing, especially when you do it with purpose. But that's another example of discipline. So I think discipline is such a wonderful word. And again, like, my word of the year is dedication. I said I'm dedicated to myself. Okay. Dedicated to me. I'm not settling for no BS, okay? I'm not settling for nobody, nothing that does not have my best interest, that does not want to show up wholeheartedly for me, because I know how wholeheartedly I show up in this life for myself and for other people. Therefore, I need the same in return. So it's another thing, being disciplined in your standards and your boundaries, being disciplined in, I'm not tolerating this. I don't like this. I don't like hanging out with people who talk about other people. I'm not going to do that. Okay? I'm not going to do it. I'm not desperate for company. I don't need to be with somebody who texts me once a month, once a year. I don't need that. I don't care. We're all busy. And if that's not what you want, if that's not what you need, okay, you get really clear on the standards that you have for yourself, and you're disciplined in them. Everybody is different. No one person can tell you what you should or should not think. That's why you need to get quiet and listen to your own voice and listen to God's voice. But really listen to your voice. Really listen to your intuition. Listen to your spirit. Listen to what, like, is in you, because that gritty, grimy stuff that you don't want to sit with and face is where, like, the gold is. And once you do that, then you have to take action. You have to move. You can't sit there forever. You can't sit in your thoughts forever. You can't sit in the toiling and in the rumination forever. Eventually you have to act and move and do something. And so I would just encourage you to start showing up daily for something different. Like, I'm reading my Bible daily. I'm on a daily Bible reading. Let me tell you, I'm not using heat in my hair. The goal is for a year. I really have hair goals, so I'm trying to take good care of my hair. She's actually, you can't tell, but she's growing a lot. Oh my gosh. Don't smoke cigarettes. Disgusting. They're gross. They're gross. It's not necessary, but sometimes I think I'm cool. And I'm like, but I'll look so cool. I made a rule, only in Europe. Only in Europe. But and when you make mistakes, be accountable, be honest. Say, I made a mistake. I effed up. I did the wrong thing. Be honest, and then pick yourself back up and move forward and do the next right thing. That's it. So I hope this was helpful, you know, a little truth to cut through the BS of this world, a little motivation, a little bit just to let you know where I am, where I'm at. But yeah, I think this is such a beautiful period of growth. I'm really excited to see what comes in the future. I'm really excited to see what God does. I'm really excited to see how this year ends up. I feel like there's a lot of good. I feel like there's a lot changing. But I really just want to pour into my goals and pour into the vision that I have for myself and be obedient to what it is that I feel like I'm being guided to do. So yeah, I hope that helped y'all. I love you guys. And if you watch this, thank you. You totally can let me know what you're up to, what you're being disciplined in, what your goals are, what your personal habits that you want to kick, or whatever it may be. Share that, you know, let's inspire each other. But yeah, I love you guys, and I will talk to y'all the next time I have something to say. Ta-ta.